Welcome back to Notorious Figures in History. In the world of organized crime, we remember the bosses: Capone, Gotti, Escobar. But behind every don stands a darker force: the enforcer, the hitman. These are the men who carried out the orders, whose violence kept the underworld in check. Their names are rarely known, their stories whispered in fear. Tonight, we reveal the hitmen lurking in the shadows, figures whose ruthlessness shaped the criminal empires we think we know. From Boston to Sicily, Russia to the West Coast, we'll explore the lives of 10 of the most lethal assassins in Mafia history. As we peel back the myths, ask yourself, which of these men would you fear the most? In New England, the Patriarca crime family had a weapon like no other: Joseph the Animal Barboza. Barboza, a former boxer, was not Italian and could never be a made man, but his brutality made him indispensable. He earned his nickname by biting chunks out of his victims. His violence was legendary, even among killers. Barbosa was Raymond Patriarca's sledgehammer, called in when a message needed to be sent with blood. Even made men feared him. His loyalty was to Patriarca alone, and his temper was unpredictable. Law enforcement linked him to dozens of murders. He was the ghost behind many unsolved slayings. But when the family abandoned him, Barboza broke the code of silence and became a government informant. His testimony sent his former boss and others to prison, making him one of the most notorious traitors in mob history. He lived out his days under federal protection, hunted by the very world he once terrorized. The animal had turned on his masters, and in the mafia such betrayals are never forgiven. In 1930s New York, Abe Kidwist Reles was the deadliest asset of Murder Incorporated, the mafia's national enforcement arm. Reles specialized in silent, efficient kills, his weapon of choice, the ice pick. But when facing the electric chair, Reles flipped, revealing the inner workings of Murder, Inc. His testimony led to convictions and executions, shaking the underworld. Before testifying against Albert Anastasia, Reles was found dead below his hotel window. The mob knew the canary had been silenced. Reles's fate was a warning: no one betrays the syndicate and survives. His story is a testament to the deadly price of betrayal. During the Castellammarese War, New York's underworld was a battlefield, and Salvatore Maranzano needed the best killers money could buy. Enter Sebastiano Domingo, also known as Buster from Chicago. This dude was lit. A freelance assassin with a fearsome reputation forged in Chicago's gang wars. Buster was an outsider, loyal only to the highest bidder, making him the perfect weapon in a war where trust was scarce. He joined Maranzano's personal death squad, a crew of out-of-town hitmen tasked with eliminating high-value targets. Their operations were swift and ruthless, designed to decapitate enemy leadership and spread terror. In the world of organized crime, the most effective killers are often the least remembered. In 1980s Sicily, the Second Mafia War unleashed a wave of violence that shocked even hardened criminals. At its center was Filippo Marquezi, boss of the Ciaculli clan and master of the infamous Room of Death. Marquezi was a sadist, preferring garroting and torture over quick kills. His victims were lured to a Palermo apartment and never seen again. Bodies were dissolved in acid, erasing all traces and leaving families with no closure. Marchese's reign of terror claimed up to 100 lives, making him the Corleonese's most feared enforcer. Even his allies dreaded him. His loyalty was always secondary to his bloodlust. But in the mafia, monsters are eventually seen as liabilities. When the war ended, Marchesi was betrayed by his own nephew and killed in the same manner he favored. His body, like his victims, vanished in acid. In the end, even the most ruthless killers are consumed by the violence they unleash. After the Soviet Union's collapse, the Russian mafia needed a new breed of killer. Enter Alexander Sasha Solenik, the super killer, a former Special Forces soldier. Solenik was a master marksman, famed for shooting with both hands and his uncanny accuracy. He became the Russian mob's top contract killer, taking out rival bosses in brazen public hits. Solenik's military training made him a ghost, disciplined, tactical, and nearly impossible to catch. His legend grew after a daring escape from Moscow's most secure prison, aided by a mob-planted guard. He vanished, resurfacing in Greece under a false identity, living in luxury as a fugitive. But notoriety is dangerous currency. In 1997, Solenik was found strangled outside Athens. In the end, the Russian mob's deadliest weapon became its greatest liability. Solenik's legend lives on, a cautionary tale of power, paranoia, and inevitable betrayal. In Newark, New Jersey, Frankie Carbone was the muscle behind the mob's power. Not a boss, but the enforcer everyone feared. Carbone kept the local rackets in line with his fists and his reputation for violence. He was respected and feared by allies and enemies alike. A cold, calculating professional who saw violence as business. Carbone's work was street-level debt collection, intimidation, and, when needed, murder. He was the glue that held the criminal enterprise together, a constant threat lurking in the shadows. Unlike the high-profile assassins, Carbone's legacy was built on everyday brutality. Loyalty in the mob is fleeting, as Larry Champagne Karza learned the hard way. An enforcer for the Colombo family and close friend to Michael Franzese, Karza enjoyed the spoils of criminal success. But when Franzese walked away from the life, suspicion fell on everyone close to him. The family feared Karza might turn informant or simply knew too much. His friendship became a fatal liability. He was marked for death by his own crew. In 1987, Karza was murdered, a casualty of the paranoia that follows betrayal. His story is a tragic lesson. In the mafia, even the closest bonds can be severed in an instant. Loyalty is a one-way street and trust is always conditional. Karza's fate is a warning to anyone who thinks friendship can outlast the mob's code. In Chicago, the outfit prized discipline and efficiency, and Fiore Butieri was their go-to specialist. Butieri ran a profitable loan sharking operation, but his true value was as a trusted hitman for the top bosses. He was known for making people disappear, his hits clean and professional. Butieri's devotion to the outfit was so complete, he allegedly killed his own brother on orders. He was also a prime suspect in the infamous murder of Sam Giancana, a hit that bore all the marks of outfit professionalism. Butieri's life was long by mob standards. He died of cancer, never facing prison or a violent end. He was a legend in the underworld. On the West Coast, Frank Bumppensier was the Los Angeles family's feared enforcer and a man living a dangerous double life. Bumppensier handled the family's dirty work for decades, rising to the rank of capo and earning a reputation for violence. But facing prison, he secretly became an FBI informant, feeding information on his own crew while still participating in their crimes. For years he walked a deadly tightrope, playing both sides against the middle. Eventually, the mob discovered his betrayal. In 1977, Bumppensier was lured to a phone booth and shot dead, a classic mob execution. In New York, the Genovese family demanded absolute loyalty, and Bobby Boreello delivered. As driver bodyguard and button man for acting boss Barney Bellomo, Boreello was more than muscle. He was the boss's shadow and executioner. His violence was legendary, his loyalty unquestioned. But when Bellomo was imprisoned, a rival faction saw Boreello as an obstacle. In 1991, assassins ambushed him outside his Brooklyn home, sending a message to the old guard. Boreello's murder marked a violent shift in power, a reminder that in the mob, loyalty is rewarded with betrayal. He lived and died by the gun, a casualty of the very politics he enforced. In the shadows of the Genovese family, even the most loyal soldier can fall. From Reles' ice pick to Marquezi's room of death, these 10 men reveal the brutal reality behind organized crime's mythic bosses. They were the enforcers, the instruments of fear, and often the victims of the very code they upheld. Their stories remind us, behind every empire are the men who did the dirty work, their hands forever stained. Subscribe for more videos on notorious figures in history. Until next time, Goomba Generals.